What is the worst NES game of all time? It's such a highly debatable topic because people can say it's a matter of opinion, but what I would love to do is I would like to do like a professional study and put this whole thing to rest. Get like 140-year-old men who played games and played Nintendo back in the day. I don't know, throw in some millennials and some Gen Zs just to spice it up, and then put down like 5 of the consensus of what would be the worst games of all time, and I guarantee you they're probably going to pick this one. Now, the game in question was not just brought to you by me, it was also brought to us by a great viewer of the show named Jay Stars. I love you, you're awesome, and he suggested the same game, and I was like, yeah, definitely in my mind, and the only one that could come to mind is Deadly Towers. Now, I got a little backstory about this one, okay, so stay with me. I did a video on this game way back in the day as well, when all this angry video game, irate gamer stuff was blowing up all over the place, because the games that they were suggesting that were very bad to them, I was thinking in my mind, well, I played games that were way worse than those ones. So as a little challenge to myself, I wanted to come out with videos of the games that I thought were way worse, and I still to this day think they are. And then I could say, hey, I came out with the video first before them. And I thought that was pretty cool, because later on, James would come out with those same videos of those games. And I'd be like, yeah, but you know, I did it first. You know what I mean? Like I knew he would eventually get around to it. But yeah, Deadly Towers, and I can't think of one that is worse, because some people can also suggest games like, off the top of my head, Dragon's Lair for NES, it's pretty bad as well, you know, or some other ones. But the point to those other games is that they may be hard, or the controls may be bad, or they may be simplistic, but they still have a clear goal of what you're supposed to do. The thing that makes Deadly Towers the worst NES game is there is no clear goal of anything. This is the most random game that I have ever played, and you could read the Wikipedia. Actually, don't even waste your time. Don't waste your time playing this game. Don't emulate it or anything. You're not missing out on anything that I'm not going to tell you. It makes zero sense. It reminds me of sort of like the people who created this game. They have this eccentric, weird imagination of some kind that they're like, well, let's not really make a game. Let's convolute it with a bunch of random stuff. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that Friends episode of when Joey became a host for that game show.
Congratulations, Ross, because Chandler, you've been bamboozled.
Bamboozled. It was called Bamboozled. Sorry, it just came to me, but... Yeah, I urge you to watch that. You can watch just a clip of that on the Friends channel on YouTube. It's funny, but you'll know what I mean, because he's trying to explain to them how this game is being played, and he has to keep going through the pages, and there's so many different things. That's what this game is like. Or even like back in the day when you had Renaissance paintings that made sense because they were angels, or they were biblical, or they were portraits. And then all of a sudden guys like Picasso or whatever came in out of nowhere and started slapping a bunch of paint on a canvas and splattering it all over the place and saying, hey, look, this is art now. It's sort of like that, because let me explain how this game works. It's sort of like, it looks like Zelda, it looks like an adventure game, it looks like a role-playing game when you look at it. But then when you try to play it, it's like, well, in order to get to where you're going, you can only do it at certain times of the day, and then wait for a rabbit to come along who asks you for a pickle in the sky, and then all of a sudden an elephant flies by dropping rainbows on you, and you become a transgender. Like, it makes no sense. It makes zero sense. Sorry, I'm not trying to make this feel like me getting angry again at it, but it doesn't. Go ahead. It's something about you have to collect these bells, but it leads nowhere. The game leads nowhere. And the only reason why I also bring it up is because this is one of the #1 games, I think. It's one of the #1 games that gets suggested to me to remake. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that I can. I have nothing to work with here. Literally nothing. Like, I've even thought in my mind, like, I can make Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde better, because there's a clear premise of what you do in that game. People can say, oh, it's bad and it's difficult and it's hard, but there's still more of a clear premise. You're just trying to get from right to left without, never mind the transforming into Jekyll parts and all that weird stuff. There's a clear goal. There's no clear goal to this game. I don't know where you start off with it right away, and it's trying to make itself look like Zelda, and I'm thinking, well, I could remake the game and I could make it just like get rid of all of the game mechanics and make it just like Zelda, but then I can't. Zelda was a pure top-down view mode game, and it had walls and stuff like that and obstacles and everything. It made sense. It was logical. This game's not even like that. It's sort of like on an angle even. I can't work with anything here. I can't add anything to it. And to be honest with you, I don't much want to. It's the worst. It's highly debatable, I know, but it's hard to debate it because I've got some great comments that I want to share with you from other viewers that have viewed, and it just made me belly laugh out loud. This comment comes from a guy called Orphan WN. I don't know, is this some kind of Generation Z thing that I'm just not reading correctly? I don't know, but he has a great comment that he says in quotes that this is a prime example, okay, and he's talking about Supreme Warrior. It's a prime example of a game that somebody hates, somebody else loves, or something like that, right? Except for this one, because everybody hates it. And I think that exact same phrase, okay, can be adopted to Deadly Towers. So thank you very much. I didn't think that it existed anymore, but he proved that it actually does, so that's fantastic. Now the next comment comes from a guy called the Murphy Channel, and he just said straight up Ghostbusters for NES, and I'm like, boy, you're very close on that one, but there you go again. Ghostbusters, as bad as it is for NES, still has a clear set goal of what you're doing. It's simplistic, oh yeah. It's bad, yeah, but it still has that goal of that you know what to do when you pick it up and play it. And the next one comes to us from Ariaka. Again, I'm probably butchering these names, but whatever. And he said Pit Fighter for Super Nintendo. I'm sorry, these make me laugh so much because I'm like, yeah, there you go again though. You can play it. It has a premise, you know what to do in it. It's terrible. It's a pretty bad Super Nintendo game, but it does at least play like the arcade, okay? Like, it does resemble it, and it does play like it. So I can't really say it's bad, but it just doesn't register way up there as being like super bad. And I say super bad in terms of games being kind of like not even playable as video games anymore. So it's bad, but it's still not Deadly Towers worthyable. And the final comment comes to us from Jermaine Kid, and he said WrestleMania for NES. So many memories came flooding back to me, so many. He thought that it was going to be like pro wrestling for NES, and boy, was he wrong. He even says that. I agree with him on that one. Yeah, I tried. My friend back in the day, I remember playing it, and he owned it, and he raved about it. Like, he loved it, and he was so good at playing it and everything like that. And there's a versus mode in it, and I played against him, and he would always kick my ass all the time with Bam Bam Bigelow and stuff like that. And I'm just like, this game sucks. I even told him that. I threw the controller right down on the ground, and I just said that straight up, right to his face. I'm like, I'm not playing this. This game is poo-poo. So that's it. That is the worst NES game. I think that it is. Again, my personal opinion, but I would love to do a study on it, and I'm pretty sure that almost 100% people would agree with me. There's no way that you could pick this up. Like, you could maybe suggest a game that you think down in the comments down below on NES that is worse than it. That's perfectly fine. But I'm saying straight up that if you even try to compare the two, and don't do it, don't waste your time, please. Don't emulate this game, and if you've never tried it before or anything like that, and even try to pick it up and play it. It makes no sense at all where to go, what to do. You can't really pick it up and play it. And there's a code for it even, like there's passwords for it. And I always remember getting them out of Nintendo Power or something like that. You got this password and it would give you all of the weapons. It would basically max out your character, and it still wasn't fun. You still started at the beginning of the game, whatever you think the beginning of the game is. Like I said, it makes no sense. You go up and then you try to go back, but you don't go back to the original area. It brings you randomly all over the place. So yeah, I don't even want to think about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Stop suggesting that I remake Deadly Towers, because it's never going to happen, unfortunately. And I have too many games on the back burner as it is. I'm still working on Contra Force. I want to work on Fester's Quest. I want to work on Kung Fu. I've got too many other games that I want to complete. So that's it. If you did like it, give me a thumbs up, of course. But if you do want to see me talk about, I would say, the worst fighting game that I've ever played in my life, then click right over here. I'm pretty sure you know what that one is. And if you're new to the channel, thank you very much for joining me. And if you want to see more, click on the subscribe button over here, where you can also see videos of me eating broken glass.